Yes, I wanted us to be live on YouTube and I forgot to add it in. Let me see if we're live on YouTube now. So we've got our Eagle Eye team out there. You know, with the platform that we use, I can see private chats that come from our other studio guests and team members backstage. So it's never a good thing when that thing lights up, especially as we're ready to start our broadcast. Okay, phew, we're on. Thanks, team.
Just be us talking to each other.
Right. This is a good one. Like, wow, we must have done a great job explaining this, Kevin. There are no questions at all from the audience.
Yes.
Oh, good. You're like, well, our work here is done. Fantastic. Excellent. Hi, everyone. All right, we are live on 2 channels. We are live in our Facebook community, the AutoCrit author community, the closed Facebook group. Hey, and we are now, I see some people from YouTube coming in already. Alexis is out there. Yeah, we've got a few folks watching on those channels. And 21 total. Got a lot of Facebook group users. Milson's out there. Steve's out there. Tracy's out there. Hi, everybody. Love it. Canada. Oh, Brockville, Ontario. See a face, one of our group members from Ontario. Gorgeous area. Fantastic. All right. We've still got a few minutes, so no rush, everyone. Take your time. Mix, mingle. We want to give everyone a chance to, as my colleague says, take their digital seats, get your notebook ready, sharpen your pencils.
Sharpen your keyboard.
Sharpen your, ouch, ouch. Come on. Sharpen your keyboard. Do your hand exercise. Get one of those grip strengthener things so you can mouse really, really well. Good time.
I always thought that was a stress ball to release your stress.
Oh, good one. Good one. Oh, you think I would have one of those around here in my actual office? Yes. Yes. Many of our AutoCrit team members work from home all the time. So I have been working from home and then also working remotely. And by remotely, I mean in any other room in my house besides my home office. So
yes,
it was the kitchen. So it's nice little change of pace, mixing it up. TJ's here. Oh, hi, TJ. Oh, Tracy's from England. Fantastic. Let's see. NE. What is that? Nebraska? I'm so bad.
So. I believe it's Nebraska.
Okay. Southern California. Deep in the woods of isolation. So no, I don't know where Thousand Islands is. I know Thousand Palms. No, that's 29 Palms. Thousand Oaks. Oh my goodness. I've loved so much seeing everyone trying to guess what the twists are. I saw today somebody doing the chubby checker twist. And
you're not going to see me do that one.
Oh, spoiler alert. Gosh, Kevin.
No, it wasn't going to be me. That's a good idea. That's a great idea. I didn't think of that one.
And definitely the martinis with a twist. So someone says it's getting very, very hot in Texas today, triple digits. So they could definitely use a cold adult beverage with a twist of lime. So I admire that. I don't want to give too much away, but that could be a user-influenced twist on the competition. Hey, if that's the twist you need in order to complete this competition, then we are all for it.
Yes.
Twist responsibly. Really, I'm required to say, twist responsibly. Jillian from England, Silverdale, Washington, Memphis, Tennessee. Nancy, welcome. I'm a Tennessee girl myself, not at the moment, but friends and family and lots in Tennessee. Gorgeous. Colorado. Hey, David. Steve, Palm Desert. Oh, lovely. Western Mass. Oh, no. Someone says they love decent weather in Utah. Is it snowing? What's going on in Utah? It is. It's. I love when our teams from overseas join in because they're getting dinner and a show. I think I'm going to say it's dinner time, supper time in the UK-ish, maybe. It's that 5 hours ahead. So yeah,
It's 5.
A little bit after tea time, maybe a little late, early dinner, late lunch. Dinner? It doesn't work the same as brunch, does it? Yeah.
I don't know that British people have dinner. Maybe that's a good question to ask.
Is it just me? I'm like, sure. It's breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies, lunch, brunch, so many things. It's like the zoo here, a feeding every 2 hours. I'm fine with that. 60 today in Salt Lake City. Okay, at least it's not snowing. So there's that. I'm always all about finding that silver lining. Fantastic. Oh, we're getting a great crowd. Hey, Doc. Bob's here. Oh, Lee's out there in Valdosta. I am currently a Georgia girl, so I hear you. I see you out there, Lee. 6 p.m. in the UK. Oh, okay. Excellent. Yep, 5 hours ahead, so it's 6 p.m. So it is proper dinner time, maybe. All right. I am going to get us teed up here. Turn off the background music if I can. All right. Let's tee us up. Oh, giant Beth and Kevin. What could be better than that?
Yes.
So you entertain them for a while. Show them your background. Show them your background.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the, in honor of our challenge, I decided to put a road background.
And I am so jealous of that.
Yes.
It is very on theme for our Destination Unknown writing challenge. So I admire that. I was a little jealous. I'm not going to lie.
I know.
So I'll clearly have to step up my background game for next time. Stay tuned. Welcome, everybody. I'm Beth here from AutoCrit along with Kevin. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
And we are having a very special Deep Dive Live today, which is a combination of Deep Dive Live and an update to our Destination Unknown writing challenge. So, as you can see from my little splash screen here, we are talking about repetition. So you can see all the Spider-Mans.
Spider people.
Oh, that's very excellent. Yes, thank you for being so inclusive. I appreciate that. So, who wants to take a guess as to what the twist might be? So, as we talk about repetition, we will go with our normal script of why it's bad, when can it be good, how do we, as AutoCrit, help you with that. But let's let people type in for us your best guesses. Now that you know we're going to talk about repetition today, wink. Can you see me winking? I'm subtle, I know. And so are you, Kevin. No spoilers yet from you. So this is great. So anybody have a guess as to what the twist might be? Anyone? So we've definitely seen the normals, like I wonder if I'm going to have to write more words or change my genre, pick an opposite genre midway through. So no spoilers out there yet. So we will we'll just jump right in. All right. So if you haven't been following the Destination Unknown Writing Challenge, it goes on through next week. It started on June 2nd. We need to write about twins.
That's good.
That's a good one.
That's great.
We'll jot that down for next time. I love switching the characters around. So there's some really great guesses. If you haven't been following the challenge, it is still going for one more week. We are exactly halfway through. If you haven't signed up yet and you still want to play, you absolutely can. Plenty of time. Go to autocrit.com/destination Challenge. And let's see, I think I've got that up here. Yep, there we go. So there's the link. If anybody isn't signed up, feel free to join in the fun by registering there. In general, the rules of the challenge. So 1,500 words. I know a lot of folks really like hardcore rules about minimums and maximums. We don't roll that way. So we're a little more flexible. If you have 1,501, we're not going to throw it out. The great news is not a really strict minimum or maximum, but truthfully, it's going to be up to the community, because special with this challenge is that there's not a submission. So there's not going to be a formal submit it to AutoCrit and let us grade your work. As a company, as a paneled jury, there's no anthology. What we do want you to do, and we'll talk about this a little more in today's episode of Deep Dive Live, is certainly run it through the AutoCrit application and look at your score. Of course, we always want that. No submissions to us. There will be a spot in our Facebook community for you to upload a link to your story if you want to share it. And let your peers give you feedback. You know, everybody's looking for beta readers and peer critique and feedback and just thoughts and inspiration. So we want to make that available to you. We will put that link up on the 16th. So you early birds that are already done or think you are prior to today's twist show, maybe the challenge for you is not being able to submit it until the 16th, even if you finish on like the 12th. So there's a little something for everybody in this challenge. The one most common part that is the ultimate intro of the challenge is that you must start with our opening line. And let me see, I don't think I have. Nope, I don't yet have. I don't have a banner of that. I'm going to make you one real quick. Bear with me. It is. Do you know what the sentence is, Kevin?
Sure. It's, we reached the third day of our journey, and to be honest, things were not going well.
I'm going to try this. Let me know. Now, did I get the punctuation correct?
I believe that is correct, although you might be missing a period at the end. It's devastating, I know.
Too much texting. Too much texting. Aye. All right. So for the Destination Unknown Challenge, this must be your opening sentence. It can be dialogue. It doesn't have to, you can put dialogue tags around that. So get creative. This is your opening sentence. And as we go through today, we will reveal the twist. Mm-hmm. For now, we will talk about repetition. So a little part of it, right, is that this is going to be a repetition challenge because everybody's sentence is going to be everybody's first sentence is the same first sentence. So that's a bit of repetition. But when we talk about repetition in your own writing, what does that really mean, right? So sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad. The good, the bad, the ugly, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. So if you handle it with care and you use it purposefully, repetition can really give your writing a very specific punch, right? And make it really memorable. But if it's careless, if it's a little clumsy, if you don't realize it's there, it can be really boring, right? So when do you think repetition might work well? So I'm going to throw this out to the audience.
Okay.
Let's hop back over and look at that. So Kevin, thinking about repetition,
yes.
Have you ever read a book that was just so repetitive, like you've read the same page over and you're like, wait, didn't I just read this?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was, I read a book once where it was like it was kind of a fantasy book. You know, the person was a shape changer and their eyes were different colored. And every time the book mentioned that character, they mentioned the fact that their eyes were a different color every single time. And by the end of the book, it's like, I already know that. Don't tell me again.
Please
So it
no.
was one of those things. It was kind of cool at the beginning, but by the end of the book, you don't have to keep telling me that same identifier. So
Right.
it was an interesting piece, but stuff like that.
One thing, yeah, it's one thing to drive the point home and to inform your readers,
Yes.
but you can really get a little too repetitive with that. So when do you think repetition might work well? Besides, so we talked just now, a great way to underscore that that's the big difference. When he has shifted shapes, boy, that was
Mhm.
right, mister, then his eyes are different, right? And so
Yes.
everything, oh, good one from coming from the audience, somebody who stutters, right? So that's
Yeah.
maybe their personal tick is that they repeat the same words. Yes, good one.
I mean, always good if somebody's trying to yell fire somewhere that you might say fire more than once. I mean, repetition isn't bad when you're trying to drive an action point home,
Mm-hmm.
or you get really excited. The problem is you don't want to be yelling fire every chapter, though, because that's annoying. So
And
these things should be reserved for, special occasions, special events, kind of like exclamation points. You can overdo it with anything like this.
yes, absolutely. You can totally overdo it. I love. So what comes to my mind always when I hear this repetition, when we talked about doing this for today's Deep Dive Live, I 100%, just like one of our Facebook participants out there, went to the Stewie Family Guy situation where Stewie's yelling for Lois and he's like, Mom, 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 Mama, Mama, Mother, 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 Mom, Mama, Lois, Lois. That was where my brain went. Apparently, that's very real. So parents out there, I know you know what repetition can do. It can drive you bonkers. You could also set rhythms. It can be a character's catchphrase. Loving this information coming from our viewers out there. Two characters describing the same event can seem a little repetitive, but it's got a little bit of a different perspective. Dialogue that your characters are sharing, getting a feel for a certain personality of a character. So tons of ways that repetition can work really well. One that we didn't hear that I want to see if I can play a little bit of a clip on is a bit of a comedy, right? So this is how sometimes it can go wrong. Bear with me. I hope this works. Let's give it a try. Yes. Oh, I feel good about it though. All right.
Something was pouring from his mouth. He examined his sleeve. Blood? Blood. Crimson, copper-smelling blood. His blood. 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 And bits of sick.
Dramatic.
This guy. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot
of blood.
It's a lot of blood. It's a lot of repetition. It is really it's just too much. So you may want to avoid it, especially perhaps that gentleman was a serious and didn't realize that he was just overdoing it quite with the blood.
Maybe.
Now in this example, it is a comedy. It was done on purpose for comedic effect, and it works on me. I find that hilarious, like blood. So and the music is fantastic. Absolutely. So instead of that, let's talk about how different types of repetition can appear in your work. Rhythmic repetition. So what is that? What do you think about that, Kevin?
Well, that's, your words have rhythm and the sentences have rhythm. And so it kind of goes into that where you have maybe the same sentence lengths and things like that, to where you start getting in a rut a little bit. It's okay. You're supposed to vary that, not extreme, I wouldn't say, but you shouldn't have everything be exactly the same length, all sound the same, all of 3 or 4 letter words. You got to kind of spice it up a little bit. Otherwise, your work can kind of seem monotonous or even childish, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. This one makes me think of poetry, right? When it's supposed to be rhythmic and it gives you that flow and that feeling, that it gives you that on purpose. When you're in a novel, you don't want 500,000 words of that, perhaps.
Maybe.
So yeah, exactly the same length, exactly the same amount of syllables. That really rhythmic. Use it to make a point. But if your whole book goes that way, it can get a little rhythmic and maybe not be what your readers would want to pursue for several 100,000 words. So use with caution, but you can definitely use it to set a feeling, to get into a rhythm, to make a point, to really ramp up somebody's anxiety, which is really do choppy, So that is rhythmic repetition. Again, a great tool, but could be a little bit overwhelming at times. Language repetition. We've talked about this with the blood.
Yes.
And the mom, which is still fantastic. But if you're using the same words over and over, it may come off as not creative. It can come off as repetitive, boring, same old. It'll throw them off, especially if they're the same words meaning the same things in similar context, right? So a couple ways you could vary the context, and then beware of things like using the same word in meaning different things. And I'm struggling with an example of this, but
I got one. We'll run through one in a little bit here.
I knew I could count on you, Kevin, to have an example of that. So fantastic. Being able to change the context, being able to discern words that may represent different things in different settings, and being able to, as always with AutoCrit, make that decision as the author, right? What we'll do is help you see that, and then you can make those creative decisions on your own, right? To give the reader give a reader an experience that you want them to have. Then again, of course, language repetition to be funny, to enhance a character trait, to really underscore like that. If you want like a Pulp Fiction, pulpy sort of feel, then, language repetition might be the way to go, as illustrated by our author in our video, right? So lots of good things, but making those decisions really how AutoCrit will help you. One final one we want to touch on is a metaphor descriptive repetition, right? So very similar to the first two. If you have a great metaphor, fantastic. We love a metaphor.
Yes.
So much, right? It paints such a vivid picture, and it gives the reader the exact context that you're trying to come up with. Now, everybody knows dad jokes, right? Kevin, you know dad jokes.
Yes.
I don't mean to call you out right here on the internet, but I am going to just mention that I know that you know dad jokes.
Yes.
What is a great thing about dad jokes? They're super repetitive. Yes. And at some point, this is why your kids or peers or friends will roll their eyes like, ugh, get some new material. Same thing with your descriptive repetition in your novel or even in your short story, right?
Yep.
It can get a little old. Like,
yes.
Dad. Okay. True story. My dad used to always do a few key like pratfall jokes, like walking through a fast food place with a tray and pretending to trip. Ugh.
Every time.
Just feel like every single time. And, it gets to that point where it's like, if he doesn't do it, you're like, what? Are you mad at me? Why are you not pretending to trip on or
every time
to scrape the steering wheel of your car and pretend you're not going to make a turn? It's like, oh, Dad. So it can get a little overdone. When the server introduces him or herself at a restaurant. Remember restaurants?
I do remember. There was an interesting place where you ate food outside of your house.
Outside of the house, and somebody else cooked it. Wow,
yes.
Fantastic. So I can't wait to do that again. And I will potentially even break out the dad joke at a restaurant. Hi, I'm Beth. I'll be your server. And what does a good dad say in response to that, Kevin?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm terrible at this.
Oh no! I'm Beth. I'll be your server. The proper response is, I'm Kevin. I'll be your customer.
Oh,
Yeah. And just like when the kids say, Dad, I'm hungry. Hey, hungry, I'm Dad. So, okay. I think and this little segment might be a good repetitive description that we would
yes.
cut from our novels, going on a little long. So we will just say, if you have a great metaphor, you have a great description, please don't drive it into the ground.
Yes, and it's like, especially when you do character introductions, that's where it really comes into. If you're introducing your character, say he's a big man, you call him, oh, he looks like a mountain. If you say he looks like a mountain every time he walks in the room, it's going to get old fast.
It is. Are there not other big things?
Come up with a new metaphor kind
Yeah.
of thing instead of using the same one over and over again.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a bland one.
Or if it says something like really, really big. So yes, fantastic, excellent points. So one main reason to keep an eye on your repetition is reader engagement, right? Nobody wants to read the same things over and over and over. Nobody wants to, like, if I wanted to do that, then we would just read one paragraph over and over and over. And sometimes you can find yourself doing that, and it might be that it's a little bit repetitive. So if your writing is like music, right? Who here, I know I have done this, who here has ever turned a song off or skipped it on your Pandora, or has ever switched the radio station, whatever, because a song is just so repetitive that it just gets on your nerves. So not only can it be boring, it can really be annoying. It's just just that sound, grating. So keeping that tonal up and down, switching up the words, the sentence length, the punctuation, the language, the metaphor, is similar to, in music, the chorus and the verses, and having a bridge and having a hook. So having lots of variety to keep you interested in, and it kind of tells a little story sometimes as well. So think about those things as you're going through, because subconsciously, those are the things, those varieties will keep your reader very engaged and very interested on a subconscious level. Otherwise, it's just repetitive and soothing, and it may lull you, like a really nice poem that's supposed to give you that lull feeling, or a nice lullaby in the music metaphor, and kind of let your brain kind of drift off to sleep. And we don't want our readers to do that. So keeping in mind those three types of repetition, again, that variety of rhythm. So that is let's go back. The rhythmic repetition, variety of rhythm is important. Language repetition, the variety of your language. Don't use the same words over and over and over. And your descriptive or metaphoric repetition. That's a tongue twister as well.
It is.
Don't use the same descriptions over and over and over. And so, to tie this all in, Kevin's going to give us a look at how the AutoCrit platform helps you take care of some of this language repetition. It's important for the twist. So I am going to hand this over to Kevin.
I appreciate that.
Make this a little bit bigger. And he's going to show us language repetition in AutoCrit.
Sure. So AutoCrit is an amazing tool, and this is one of the areas where it really excels, because you can find words, and a lot of times these words might not even be recognized to you that you use them so many times. So AutoCrit comes in, and in this example here, I'm highlighting a filler word, that. It just jumps off the page that I used that many times in that paragraph.
I see what you did there.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be using AutoCrit in our repetition tab. In this case, I'm actually using AutoCrit to find repetition.
Uh-oh. Kevin may be frozen. There he is.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. My internet literally jumped out of my computer.
Oh, I love it when that happens. You were like Max Headroom for just a second. Did I date myself by making a Max Headroom reference? Yeah.
Sorry about that. No,
Well,
literally,
it was
a freak accident on live. Anyway,
we got it.
We got it.
Like I always say, it wouldn't be a live show if everything went perfectly.
No. All right. So I'm looking for repetition, not only in the repetition tab itself, but also in other areas too. In this case, filler words. So this is an example from a Roald Dahl book we have. But anyway, we've used that so many times. Obviously, you can go through, since it's a filler word, and you can eliminate probably half or 3/4 of these without too much trouble. But you can look for repetition in a lot of places. So let me jump over to do another one outside of filler words. And this is where we've used a word close together, and that's under repeated words. This is a report here. This is available to all the free users if you're a free user out there. So what we're looking for in this report are words that are the same word used within a fairly close proximity to each other. They don't have to be in the same paragraph. As you can see, we have a couple of different paragraphs, but we've used hard 3 different times. Now, we use the word hard in different contexts in at least 2 out of those 3. So it's not necessarily wrong, but maybe the third use of hard, this is a snippet from George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. So he's talking about how his sword was, nicked from hard use. Maybe you could use fierce use or something. Come up with a different word for the third time. So that way, even though it might not be terrible, it kind of gives you the recognition that I did use the word hard 3 different times, close proximity to each other. So it kind of gives you creative control to say, isn't there a better way to say that, perhaps? Or, just to kind of spice it up a little bit, because you might not even realize you've done it, but it kind of, AutoCrit will force you to recognize when this situation occurs. So that's an example of the same word used close together in different contexts.
And
now,
speaking of a different word, now, is that something that AutoCrit can help with as well? Is find maybe using a thesaurus to find a different word?
You can highlight the word and run over here to our thesaurus, and we'll see it pop up. Difficult use or distinct or divided. Obviously, you can go pick a word you'd like to choose. Let's use difficult. Why not? Click on it here. And is it going to switch it? No. Sometimes when I get on these video chats,
video stream,
it doesn't want to do something. There it goes. Second sign of charm.
Always.
So yes, you could swap out the word, and then the repetition would go away. You'd run the repeated words report again, and hopefully that one will go away. The first 2 will stay because they're still repeated, but the third one will obviously drop off because you threw in a new word there. So that's a form of repetition that AutoCrit does a really good job with. Now, one thing to keep in mind, people ask me sometimes, like, what about words that are very, very common, like the or and or I? Well, AutoCrit's not looking for extremely common word repetition because those words are obviously present a ton. And so we don't find those. We're looking for the more, I hate to say uncommon, but the more unique words, I guess you'd say, we're looking for as far as repetition, because those are the ones that kind of stand out. In fact, we have 2 versions of it. We have like a repeated normal words, and if you were to run over here to the next one over, we have repeated uncommon words, which is casting our net a little bit further and searching for even more unusual words that have been repeated, that are located within close proximity to each other within your text. So we kind of look at it a different way in that regard. Now, the other thing with repetition would be words that sound awkward next to each other. So let me jump over to, this is a file from Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, if you're not familiar with it, writes a lot of science, physics, universe, black hole stuff. So he's very into the physics and has very educated academic style. It's nonfiction, but he's using a lot of obviously big and unique words in this fashion as he's describing something. In this case, he's describing entropy, which is a very thermodynamic or physical term. So it kind of comes across fine here because there's really no other way to describe it, because that is the specific word that he's looking for in an academic sense. So it's okay. It's just sometimes it's a little bit tough for a lot of readers to see, but he's also aware of, I believe, is his audience. His audience is used to seeing words like this and are familiar with it. So you got to kind of keep that in mind too when you're using repetition on what your audience might suspect. Now, however, in this same work, let me jump down. I saw something here. Stephen Hawking, if you don't know, has a tough, he can't speak. So he was going through surgeries to try to, help out open up his larynx and his, his vocal cords and whatnot. But so he used the term here, tracheostomy, 1, 2, 3, 4 times right in a row. Now that's not an easy word that just rolls off your tongue. So repetition of this form, sure, it's precise and it's accurate, but perhaps maybe the second or third time he could have called it, before the procedure here instead of calling it a tracheostomy again. Maybe he could have called it a procedure. Maybe use some more. He's already identified what it is with a difficult word. But maybe the second and third times you call it the procedure, or maybe you switch from something complex to something more common, just to aid your readers to make it flow when they read and be comfortable. Because this other word it's jarring a little bit. It kind of jumps off the page. And if you're going to talk about a whole chapter about tracheostomies, boy, you really got to come up with a creative way to do that so it's not annoying. It's you're going to like a scientific. We're using big complex words, but you got to be aware that even though it's the right word, maybe you should be careful of how often you use it. It kind of goes to maybe you're trying to make yourself sound smart. If you keep using these big words all the time, even though they're accurate, it's like it becomes kind of grating after a while. And another one here, he's using the word computer 3 times in a row. He's a computer expert. He sent me a computer program, and then menus on the computer screen. At this point, we could probably just get rid of this third computer. It shows the series of menus on the screen. People kind of understand that you're already talking about a computer by this point. You don't have to keep beating it into their head that you're looking at a computer or you're talking about a computer. So sometimes a way to eliminate repetition is just to get rid of the word because you've already identified what it is you're talking about. So these are just some, of my tips and tricks here with going through different types of repetition and what AutoCrit's going to show you. And this is also one of the reasons why AutoCrit lets you make the decision on how to edit this, because really it's obviously once again creative control on how you would address the fact that there is repetition. So what do you do with it? You accept it, you remove it, you word it, reject it. It's really kind of up to you. AutoCrit's job is its tools to find it for you, and then kind of you got to do something with it or ignore it. So
absolutely. Fantastic. And a great opportunity to remind everyone that AutoCrit does have nonfiction as well as fiction.
Yes.
So that is a relatively new feature. We kind of rolled it out, but haven't made a big deal about it yet. But look for more information about that coming soon.
So repetition is a problem in any type of writing, just like fiction
absolutely. Or not. I would say, especially when we're talking nonfiction, you may want to kind of mix it up a little more even because it's, perhaps very academic and you want to appeal to a slightly broader audience. It could be, I don't know. It's all about you as the author, as the creator, as the creative force behind what you're bringing into being. Absolutely. So AutoCrit will make those recommendations and just share the information with you. Do with it as you wish, right?
That's exactly right. So we just went through repetition of words that are in close proximity to each other. Now, AutoCrit's going to also be able to spin it another way. So what if the word, in this case, computer, wasn't used close to each other? What if it was just sprinkled throughout your text, but after the end of the book, you might have had used it 500 times or something. So what about frequency? This is where we get out of repeated words and we start talking about, well, how often in total did I use it? So let me jump over to a story here. Again, George R.R. Martin, The Game of Thrones. I thought King was an interesting one. So I ran his first couple of chapters through. And King was found, here it'll tell us it was used 49 times. So, but if you look through and you scroll through here, you'll see King, there it is again. There's another, but it's spread out. It's not all on top of each other. So this word in this situation probably wouldn't show up on our repeated words report because it's not close together. However, it's used a lot. In fact, this report also, since it's a frequency report, it'll tell us how many more times it was used relative to what we're comparing it to. In this case, I'm comparing it straight to George R.R. Martin on our genre. So this in this chapter, he's used the word king even more times than he would normally have. So maybe, obviously, maybe this was the chapter about a king. So, but anyway, that gets the picture. So we'll tell you how often you've used it and then how often you've used it compared to some genre or author that you've chosen as a comparison, as a benchmark to look at. So that's kind of fun to do. So in this case, we see that, he's used king more than he usually does.
Hmm.
So, and when you think about frequencies, I like to think of it as word clouds, more of, proximity. So if you think about a word cloud, in this case, I went to our summary report, which has the ability to show word clouds. You'll see that front and center there is the word king.
Mm.
So obviously, it's one of those. It's a powerful part of that story, and so it's not necessarily wrong to have that much repetition. It's just letting you know I've used that word a lot, and I've used it a lot more than I usually do. So it's kind of, if you look at a word cloud, that's kind of what you're going to expect to see right in the middle. So hopefully that's what your chapter is about. Otherwise, you might have a bigger problem.
You may, yes.
So, and another play on that frequency bit, when I was saying, okay, remove 23, I thought it was fun. Let's go ahead and compare George R.R. Martin to Danielle Steele. Just why not, right? Why not? It's just so I updated the genre. I threw in Danielle Steele and I ran it through. Sure enough, it found the same 49 uses. But with Danielle Steele, you should remove all of them.
Like you can have it one time.
You got one time. That's it.
One mention of a king, and then that's all.
That's all. So basically, what we're saying is Danielle Steele doesn't use that word in her writing, and you use it.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with it if your book is about a king, and that's totally fine. It's just more kind of helping you interpret some of the results that AutoCrit provide and why you might see differences and why you may or may not when you switch your genres from one to another, when you look at these frequencies. Obviously, the count is going to stay the same, but some of our recommendations are going to be updated relative to whatever you so chose with your genre. So you can even do that when looking at repetitions. So anyway, I thought that was kind of fun to run through that. And with that, I think that's pretty much it that I have to go through. I can talk about repetition all day because I love repetition. A lot of exciting stuff. I get really into it because it's in the numbers. Is it a frequency? Are they close together? What type of word? Is it big word, little word? Is it filler word? Repetition is such a broad ranging topic, and it's so important, and it's powerful. It's not wrong, but it's just a powerful tool that you have to understand when and how you're using it. So that's it from my end on that one. I think it's like I said, I could talk all day about it, but I know we have some exciting stuff coming. We have to reveal the twist.
We have to reveal the twist.
We have to reveal the twist.
Oh goodness, it looks like we're having potentially some streaming issues out there. Some folks are experiencing some frozen screen, but we're going to keep going. The video will be available for download, and we will be posting information about the twist on Facebook, as probably also on YouTube. The video will be on both as well. So don't worry if you're out there and we're choppy max headroom style or pixelated or not coming through clearly. We will definitely make sure everyone knows about repetition and twists. And so a couple things as we move into, yes, almost ready for the drum roll. The frequency report, the word frequency and phrase frequency are simply about the counts. Kevin, is that correct?
That's correct. When we're talking about frequency, we're looking at the number that you actually used in there, not how close they were together. But this is a simple solve. The phrase frequency would show me a count of 2, 3, and 4 word phrases. So we're just looking at counts when we talk about frequency. And when we're talking about repetition, we're looking at how close they are together and how often you use them as such.
Right.
That's the two different ways of looking at it.
Perfect. So speaking of repetition, which is, again, using those words in close proximity to one another, because that's when it really gets noticeable to your readers, right?
Exactly right.
They're like saying a word over and over and over, very, very close. That's when you notice it as a reader. So okay, I have a twist on the twist. I mean, so again, you guys know I'm extra. So here's another extra. So we are not going to have a twist. We are going to have 2 twists. Now, first twist. And even I can't reveal it because now I'm on the wrong screen. Here we go.
It's that much of a twist.
It is that, like, the twist is, will my computer work? Yeah. First twist, as Kevin has just demonstrated, we want your stories to have as little repetition as possible. Right? So run your story through the repeated which report is it, Kevin? Repeated words.
We're going to repeated words. Let's see if you can get through without having a single repeated word. Now, we can obviously exclude character names. You can go to your words to exclude and add those to it so they don't pop up. But minus character names and place names. Let's see if you can do it with no repeated words, if it's possible.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's possible. So I am excited.
It sounds easy, but just give it a try.
Right? So again, what AutoCrit is looking for, words used in close proximity. So take a peek at that. Take a screenshot of your score, of the meter, of whatever, or just copy and paste what you've tweaked in the group. We would love to see that. Share it out in our Facebook community group on Facebook, AutoCrit Author Community. Blah, blah. Boy, is it Monday? I can't. Blah. You can also, if you're kind of advanced, use the compare files option. So a neat feature inside of AutoCrit. More on that feature coming soon. Don't worry if you don't know about it. We will do a deep dive live on that coming up soon. Yeah. So twist number 1, as little repetition as possible. Keep in mind, you still have 1 full week for reworking your work. If you thought you were done, you're not done. And of course, we're not done here today either, because I have 1 more twist. We're going to give you your closing line in addition to your opening. So, here goes.
How are you going to work that in? I'm not.
This, I don't know, but that's why we called it Destination Unknown. You don't know where that story's going.
Yes.
Nobody does. Now, I guess we know. We don't know what's going to happen in the middle between the two, the opening sentence and the closing sentence, closing line. But remember, the opening, we reached the 3rd day of our journey, and to be honest, things were not going well. Your closing line has to be, I'd rather be a bird than a fish.
It could be dialogue.
Could be dialogue.
Doesn't have to be dialogue, but
could be a statement, depending on the
statement.
Yeah, depending on the point of view. I can go ahead. I'll go ahead and say you could even add, this being the second half of your closing line.
That's true. You could be part of it.
Maybe that.
Definitely.
But we want these to be the last words that you use. So I'm feeling, yeah, more.
This is like, oh, really? And then people,
two twists, right?
Somebody out there said, yes, I wrote about a fish.
And a bird, yes.
Somebody's excited because they already have this one knocked out of the park. Hey, let us know. Maybe somebody already has this as their last line. That would be amazing.
What? Whoa. I am so I'm loving the comments that I'm seeing flow through on this. So 2 twists. The no repetition. I'd love to see 0. Let's see what you got. Couple quick comments. Yes, the repeated words report is definitely free. It is part of your free forever AutoCrit account. So there, everyone will have that available. I've got to stop watching these comments. They're just fantastic. So people having to rewrite the whole thing, and people like, oh my gosh, this is not at all what I had in mind. And oh, this is so. This
is a structural edit, right? This is a challenge.
Oh. And I'm like, I'm just messing with you. And Kevin says it's a structural edit. So yes, fantastic. So already. So we knew this twist would be great. Keep in mind, it's supposed to be fun. So don't stress. Don't stress. Thinking, let's do, are there any questions out here? Lots of people have already thought they were done, so got a lot of rework. Oh, yes, fantastic. We did have one, I wanted to go back to one comment from, who was that? Was that Tracy, I think it was, who said, use of repetition to kind of underscore something that's, yes. So I'm going to show everyone Tracy's comment real quick because I want to talk about this. And I'll just use this screen, and I'm going to, bear with me. I don't know if this whole thing will pull up or not. Okay. So, there's Tracy. Hi. She likes using the same description to name someone who has just a small part and they don't know their proper name, right? So the main characters met at the entrance to a building by two men, Suit Man and Scrubs Man. So they're only in one chapter, and they're having probably some interaction, some dialogue just in one chapter. We don't need to get to know them that well. I feel like this might be a great spot for repetition to be okay. I'm going to make our faces a little bit bigger, Kevin, so they can maybe see us. But having that, peering right over Tracy's remark, but I think having that level of repetition is really a way to not get emotionally connected to characters that just have a small part. What do you think about that, Kevin? That's
totally fine. If it's isolated and you know you did it, and because especially if they're not playing a large role, then I think it's okay. It's like a chapter or something like that. It's fine. The problem happens if these same characters were to pop up in future chapters or come back. Then it becomes like they have to flush them out a little bit. Give me a little more information about them. Call them something else. So that's where you got to be kind of careful with it. But on a small basis, if it's 8 or 10 times, that's fine. I don't think it's a huge issue. It's not black or white. From something like that, but just be cautious of it. And I still think you could challenge yourself to find another way to do it too. But you also want to be careful and being creative about drawing attention to things that aren't a central part of your story. So if these auxiliary characters, for example, don't play a central role, don't give them a central role with your word usage either, because that will draw your reader's attention to them. Maybe you're describing the brooch that one of these extras was wearing in great detail. Like, why are you doing that? What does it have to do with the protagonist? What does that have to do with, unless the protagonist is going to steal it from her in the next scene, why don't talk about it? So that's the point. You don't want to also be, so repetition is fine if you want people to ignore it, or just be cautious with it and be careful with your word use. I guess I don't have an issue with it.
Fantastic. So a couple other questions from our live stream audience. Let's see. Where were they? Oh no, we have so many comments. So what a terrible problem to have. We have so many people who are so interested. Can the closing line be used as a metaphor? Someone asked that.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Absolutely. Can I put something like "Dear Diary" before the official first line? So this isn't a juried competition. So I would say you can do anything you want.
I think so long as you're in the spirit of the competition, right? That's what they usually say with stuff like this. You got to be in the spirit of it.
It could be rephrased into, some people are big rule followers. This girl, I'm a big rule. It's me. I'm some people. And I would say we reached day 3, etc., and things weren't going well. She wrote in her diary, maybe as an alternative. So tons of options. Oh my gosh, just get creative. We would love to see that last sentence and that first sentence stay as true as they can. Oh, good times. And let me show the 4 words that the 4 R's. It's not 3 R's anymore, and it's not reading, writing, arithmetic. But as always with your AutoCrit use, replace, remove, reword, reject our suggestions. AutoCrit is all about just sharing that information with you and helping you make informed decisions about your writing. One other question that had come up in the community before we sign off for today, post your score on repeated words, post maybe a screenshot of what your repeated words are, or just say, I started out with 20 repeated words, or a repeated phrase, a repeated word that needed to remove 18, and I removed 18 of them. And, just share your progress and as always, out there in the community, keep talking, keep supporting one another, and that great community spirit as we go into week 2 of this writing challenge. And above all, have fun. I definitely going to be repetitive about that because it is the most important thing is to just have fun. And join us back for the live prize drawing, right? So once you've entered, your name will be entered into a live prize drawing. We will draw those names at random on June 16th, right here, live stream in the Facebook community, as well as on our YouTube channel on Tuesday, June 16th at 1 o'clock. And we will see you then. Happy editing.
Bye everybody.